So, welcome to today's Greater Life CoffeeCast. And with our focus today being the pillar of hustle, today we dive into all things procrastination. And this is a topic that was requested to be covered. So, thank you, Angela, for requesting. And it is a topic that over the years, in one way, shape, or form, I've had a fair amount of dealing with. And there are essentially two ways, and there's probably other people, podcasters and things out there, experts who might have different opinions. So I'm going to caveat this or couch this in the terms that this is my lived experience with it, and I hope that in sharing some of it, it will be of value. Okay? So we're going to understand a bit about why, and then a little bit about what we can do about it. Okay? So the first is a frame or a perspective that I came across from Daniel Priestley, who's one of my favourite thinkers around business and authors. And he referenced the idea that, and he may have got it from somewhere else, that, of course, procrastination is actually evolutionarily hardwired into us. Let that sink in for a moment. And, of course, if we think about this, it's not such a crazy idea. If it is the case that for thousands upon thousands of years we lived in small tribal groups where survival wasn't guaranteed, and we really had to live by our wits, and we depended on being able to hunt effectively and protect ourselves from big animals, then it would stand to reason that we might want to conserve whatever energy we have as much as possible, especially during times when food resources were scarce. Okay, so that if there wasn't much food around, we wouldn't want to expend energy unnecessarily doing things that might not work, if we might then need that energy to fend off a saber-toothed tiger. And so we would naturally develop the habit of not doing anything unless it was absolutely critical, like on fire, basically. And I wonder if you can relate to that in your own life. I certainly remember at university, I would do nothing until the night before, pretty much, when it was absolutely essential, when there was no other option. So that's the first thing. Now, of course, that doesn't, on some level, that's only helpful insofar as we know a little bit more about procrastination. If you're there right now and you're super frustrated with yourself for procrastinating, it's only so helpful to know that, oh, well, maybe I'm doing this a little bit because of evolution. It doesn't change the fact that you'd probably prefer to stop procrastinating and actually do the thing you know you need to do, right? So let's look at a couple of other reasons of why we might not act when we know we should act. And this comes down to emotion. And we are protecting ourselves in one of two ways. Protecting ourselves either from failure or protecting ourselves from success, or protecting ourselves ultimately, in either of those cases, from shame. And of course, it's quite easy to see why we might be protecting ourselves from shame if we're protecting ourselves from failure. Okay, we try something, we fail, and we feel shame. Or we fear that others may shame us. The chances of that happening are pretty slim, but we fear that may happen, right? That we procrastinate to protect ourselves from success, well, that's maybe a more interesting one to consider. And in some of the circles I've moved in the past, this is called your golden shadow, i.e. that perhaps there were times in your life when you standing out, you succeeding you shining meant that you were attacked by a parent, by some of your peers. In some way, shape, or form, there was shame attached to you succeeding and shining. And so as a result, you develop the coping mechanism, the protection programming of procrastination, so that you never really had to succeed or shine. And if you did succeed or shine, perhaps you could put it down to luck because you'd procrastinated so much. Or you might succeed a little bit, but you could give yourself the excuse of, well, I put it off till the last minute, so of course it wasn't quite as good as I wanted it to be. And so all of these are ways that we may protect ourselves. That it is more comfortable to feel the pain of procrastinating than it is to feel the pain of shame, either because we fail or because we might succeed and be humiliated. And so, as you hear these notions, what's coming up for you? What do you feel? Does it resonate? On some level, does it ring as true? That perhaps there are times when you're naturally conserving energy, evolution, but perhaps there are times when you are protecting yourself, that it is more of there is an emotional payoff. And we call it like a negative payoff, right? Where you're receiving on some level, even though it's a negative emotion, you're receiving a payoff for it because it's a better evil than really going for the truth and risking the deep shame. And here's the thing. What a gift. What a gift your procrastination is giving you in allowing you to have a window into what are some of the ways in which you may still be running from your shame. And I know that's very much still playing out for me right now in terms of that golden shadow piece of like, what if I actually really succeeded? Oh my word, wow. And also, what if I really go for it and people attack me? What if I just uninhibitedly express the whole of myself in pursuit of building greater life? What then? So I share this not as something I have sorted myself, but as something that is an ongoing journey for me, that there are days when I'm better with it and days when I'm not so good. So of course the question comes, like, what can we do? Well, of course there is the necessary emotional process work of accepting our shame, integrating it, releasing it, however you want to work with that, to know that you are loved and lovable no matter what, and that any shame you may experience ultimately has been a gift keeping you safe, has got you to this point, and so is to be thanked, even as it may be time for you to release it, to move beyond it. Okay? And of course, one of the ways that we now need to, well, one of the things we've got to do is actually overcome this almost a habit of procrastination. It's become habitual. And so how do we do that? And I invite you to consider that the way to do that actually might be to lower your standards. What do I mean by this? It's to give yourself permission to hit a lower standard. Like if you're a writer, and referencing Tim Ferriss's example here, if you're a writer, don't try and write 1,000 perfect words every day. He says his standard is 2 bad pages. Okay? We need to get some momentum. We need to give ourselves the experience of moving beyond the procrastination. And so to do that, we've got to get some quick wins under our belt. All right? So whatever task you may be facing, what are some quick wins? Because then you start to leverage a sense of achievement. You get some good dopamine in your system because you've ticked something off, right? So what is a quick win? How can you lower your standards and get yourself moving? Okay? And The final piece is to connect with an emotion that's more powerful than the shame as well. And for me, this is like wonder. Like, what a gift, what a wonder that I get to have the opportunity to share this thing I'm procrastinating about. That's the frame that works for me. Perhaps for you, it's like, wow, I am a divine, infinite being, and I get to try and overcome this procrastination, or I get to create this art. Whatever it may be, is there a frame that is greater than your shame? All right? So, that has been our little exploration and foray into procrastination. And I'm sure there's others who would share neurochemistry based or like neuroscience based stuff. But more often than not, I've found that it really lands in one of those two emotional realms of keeping yourself safe from failure shame or from potential success shame. And so going forward today, what is a quick win? What is your equivalent of 2 bad pages that you can get moving with? And what is a frame that is greater than your shame? All right.